Where'd your name come from?
Freddy G's basically just given from my dad. It's Alfredo, so Freddy's short, and G comes from my last name, Garcia. I didn't want to have it as a gimmick name. I wanted it to be more realistic to my name. So I've always been called Freddy since I was a kid, so I mean, I just stuck with it. Everybody knows me by Freddy, so just throw in the Freddy G and it's done deal.
Have you had any previous aliases before?
No. I mean, when I was a kid, like, my immediate family calls me Gordo, fat baby. But, I mean, you can tell I ain't fat no more. But I was a baby. When I was a baby, I was a pretty big boy.
Okay. I meant like rap names.
Oh, no. No other aliases at all.
Now, what about as far as your ethnicity? What are you?
I'm Puerto Rican and Mexican.
Do people often guess that right when they see you, or?
Half the time, they pretty much call out the Puerto Rican part, you know, because of my curly hair, and I tend to look like a more half-breed, half black and half Mexican type, so they kind of throw the Puerto Rican in there just as a guess, and they're pretty much right on.
Now, what about the language? Can you speak Spanish?
Yes, I can speak Spanish and some Portuguese. Because of my grandma from my daddy's side, she was Portuguese, so she would talk to us in Portuguese, and I kind of picked up.
Fluent in Spanish?
Yes, fluent in Spanish. I can read and write.
Now, where are you from?
I'm from Lubbock, Texas, the 806.
Now, what's your opinion of the state of rap music right now in Texas as a whole?
It's definitely getting a whole new boost in energy from the Screw days and the H-Town days. I mean, now Dallas is evolving, and then the 806, of course, we're not as, you know, influential or out there in the mainstream right now, but it's more like we're in the steps of making sure everybody knows that Lubbock and the 806 is definitely bringing some heat.
Now, as far as Lubbock's concerned, if people aren't familiar with that city, what's the closest big city people would be familiar with? And when I say that, I'm talking like Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio.
Dallas, it's about 4.5 hours away. A lot of people from Dallas and Lubbock, they go back and forth, you know what I mean? So like us, for instance, I have a big family, and we have a big part of our family that lives in Dallas, and that's like the closest. You go to San Antonio and it's like 5-6 hours. Austin, it's 6 to 7 hours. So Dallas would probably be the closest big city.
What about Houston?
Houston, it's around 10 to 12 hours.
Now, give me a tour of the city of Lubbock for someone that's never been there before. Let's start with the food. Favorite food spot in the city?
Definitely like Jalisco's. Jalisco's, it's Mexican food, and they have like a little bakery section. And then Mama's house.
What do you order from the Jalisco? How do you
Jalisco's?
pronounce it? Yeah.
Jalisco's.
What do you order there?
I pretty much try all kinds of stuff. I'm a food fanatic, so I'm not like someone that goes with the regular every time they go out to eat. Like, I'll definitely look at different things or something new. It's just my palate, it's different, so I like tasting different foods and not staying with the same.
Now, what about as far as the nightlife? Favorite strip club in the city?
Jags. I mean, I know the owners. He's a real good friend, and it's definitely a pretty good spot. I mean, it's not huge like you would think Magic City or, you know, something like that, but it's definitely a pretty good spot to go kick back at.
Now, for someone that's never been to Lubbock before, are the strip clubs out there, is it full nude? Is it just topless? Is it?
It's full nude. Yeah, they don't have any just topless places. It's straight up, you want it, you go get it.
Now, what about regular nightclubs? Do you have a favorite regular nightclub in the city?
Oh, yeah. I go to Firehouse and Soho. Those are the two spots. They're in the Depot District in Lubbock, and it's basically all the bars and clubs are centralized in the area where all the college kids and all the locals can go kick back. And Soho is definitely one of the biggest spots, and Firehouse, well, that's just my kickback spot right there for sure.
Now, we talked about the food. We talked about the nightlife. Any other spots you recommend someone first time visiting Lubbock go see, do, or visit while they're in town?
Definitely go check out the Depot District. I mean, there's art venues there. It's not just bars and restaurants. There's like piano bars. There's what they call Tornado Alley, and it's basically an alley that they renovated with neon lighting and whatnot, and they just have different artists go in there and display their artwork. And you can pretty much do a art trail. It's the first Friday of every month. You get you some drinks and just go around and check out all the artwork in town. And it's basically all in the Depot District. You know, you just walk that whole area drinking.
Now, as far as the lingo, what are some terms or some phrases one might hear in the city of Lubbock right about now?
Well, they're not so unique on their lingo. I mean, it's basic all around, you know, hood talk. You know, whatever is going on mainstream, you pretty much hear it there. I mean, there's no real big output as far as something special that puts us aside from everybody else on our lingo.
What about as far as events? Are there any special events in Lubbock you recommend someone come specifically to the city for? Like, for example, in New Orleans, Mardi Gras is like a huge situation out there.
Oh, yes. The Buddy Holly Fest, Jab Fest, those are both rock and country, but they're definitely huge in what they bring to the city. And they're starting to actually expand in genres, not just staying with the rock and country. They're looking into R&B and rap. And then also Texas Tech holds a lot of stuff. They're more, they're doing a thing, it's called, it's like the Austin City Limits, but it's for Texas Tech. And they do it like on Saturdays, and it's been picking up, and it's crazy. They have anywhere from EDM DJs to rap, R&B, and rock. You know, basically if it's a local artist, they'll definitely try to put them out there.
All right, let's talk about your upbringing a little bit. What was it like for you growing up in Lubbock? Paint the picture for us.
Straight from the hood. We grew up on the east side of town, so it's not your upper class neighborhoods, you know what I mean? We're straight hood, back roads, all our streets were dirt, but we were real tight. Our families were always taking care of each other, so it's like your neighbor can whoop your butt if you did something wrong type of stuff, so that everybody took care of you, you know what I mean? So it was always a real good, like, family life, you know what I mean? It was real tight. So, I mean, that's basically how I treat my family now because of the way I was brought up. Because if we were brought up that tight when we were little, we should be even more so now, you know what I mean? So I teach my kids the same as I was taught.
Would you consider it a rough upbringing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wouldn't want my kids to go through any of that stuff, so I definitely do my best to make sure that they don't ever have to see any of the poor, rough sides of stuff, you know, when you ain't got no light on, or something happens to your father and he can't work, so you're having to figure it out between the family. It was pretty rough, you know what I mean? So when somebody says when they came out the mud, I was there, definitely. When you come from the back roads where there's dirt roads and not paved roads, and basically, you know, a good 80% of the people that are in the neighborhood are definitely poverty stricken. So like, it was rough.
What type of student were you in school?
ABs. I love school. I don't really look like I did good in school, but I really did. I was an honor student. But my thing was I went to school for the girls. There was plenty of females there, so that's why I wanted to be at school.
Graduated high school?
Yeah, graduated with honors.
Went to college?
No college, just electrical training and then the streets.
Electrical training, is that considered like a trade school type of thing?
Yes, I'm an electrician by trade, so I went to IEC. It's a trade school there that helps you get continuing education to be an electrician in the later end.
Now, why go that route and not the college route?
Because with my family being as poor as they were, I pretty much thought I was going to have to get into the workforce or into the street and make sure that my family were taken care of. So I figured do both the street and do regular work, and college wasn't going to cut that.
Now, what's your opinion on a trade school, like somebody thinking about a trade school versus college? What do you say to that person watching this interview thinking about it?
Oh, I think they should definitely try it. I mean, trade schools are definitely good because they get you ready for the workforce. I mean, they're not just some place that you're just going to go to and have, you know, like your frat parties and whatnot. You're going to go learn how to work, and then they're going to put you to work. So, I mean, it's definitely a good thing if they don't have the time or the money to go to college. It's definitely one place that you could probably afford to go to a trade school.
If you could go back in time, hindsight 2020, would you have gone to done the trade school route?
Yes.
Or skipped it altogether and maybe tried college if you could?
Well, I probably would have tried college because, I mean, I think about it now, and if I would have went to college, I would have probably had a little extra under my belt. But, I mean, every little bit does help. So, I mean, college would have been something good to do. But with the choices that I had and the decisions that I made, I'm definitely happy with what I did.
Jobs you had growing up, if any?
My first job, working with my dad, tearing down buildings, and it was hell. Then I started cooking. I got out of that and did electrical, building houses, and then definitely hustling the street. That was something that I always did because I was good at it. And like growing makes you see and understand that some of those choices ain't as good. And the street never was something that was good, but it definitely made things work out when they needed to.
Any crazy stories dealing with any of those jobs you just mentioned?
Oh, yeah. I got shot in the neck with a nail gun. It was on accident. My cousin was putting two pieces of wood together, and when he shot it with the nail gun, the nail slipped through and busted the wood and ended up in my neck.
How deep?
About halfway. Because when he pulled it out, I felt the pop, and I was knocked out after that.
Wait, so he shot you with the nail, and he took it out as soon as he shot you with it?
No, he jumped off of the roof, and then he told me to stand still, and then pulled it out.
Was that the right thing to do, looking back?
Yeah.
No. You know, like sometimes they say, wait for an ambulance, wait for paramedics to come, keep it in there, don't just pull stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, as far as like...
Could that have killed you
medically
or paralyzed you
thinking,
or
I
something?
probably would have thought not to take it out, but at the moment of, you know, the impact, it wasn't something that we thought too much on it. We were just like react.
So you get popped with the nail, he pulls it out, and you just faint?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from the pain, because I felt stuff tugging on my neck, and when I felt it pop, that pain knocked me out.
Did it hit an artery or something?
No, I didn't bleed too much. It just got me where, like, I was just sore for about 2 or 3 days.
So did you go to the hospital? Did they end up Wow.
No, like, we were raised just shake it off.
So you faint, and I guess you just come to.
Mm-hmm.
And would you quit working the rest of the day, or did you go back to work?
No, I just took a little break. And then when I felt...
Patched it with a Band-Aid or something?
No, they just cleaned it up a little bit, and then, I mean, a Band-Aid really can't cover your little neck spot, so we just went back to work.
And it healed on its own?
Mm-hmm.
Any complications from it?
No complications.
Were you worried there for a second, or?
Probably for a week or two. I just didn't know if there was something in there or something definitely seriously hurt. But I mean, within a week or two, I was back to normal, so I really didn't even bother with it anymore.
Didn't need a tetanus shot or anything?
No, I keep tetanus shots because of the, like, every 5-10 years or something like that, they get me with the new tetanus. Just because of the work I do, I need it.
Now, are both parents in your life?
Yes.
Did they separate during your life, or were they together the whole time?
They've separated and they gotten back together, and just recently, in the past couple of years, they finally just let go. But they're crazy friends, I guess. I mean, they were married for over 53 years.
What about siblings? Any siblings, or were you the only child?
No, I have, from my mom and dad, I have 2 sisters. And then from my pops he got around. So I got 7 brothers and 1 other sister from him.
Anybody else in your family raps besides you?
Yeah, my nephew, and I have a few cousins that rap. And it's pretty much like a family thing. Music's always been a part of us. My mom's played every music genre that I can think of. And then my uncle was a DJ, so he definitely had everything in our face. And if we wanted to go help him set up and tear down, we were all in the mix. So music was always a part of our heartbeat.
Have you guys collabed?
No, my cousins, yes. But my uncle, he passed away May of 2013. So that was pretty much a real hard knock to the whole family.
What does your family think about your career?
Everybody supports me. This trip was definitely a big showing of the family because I have 4 kids and a wife, and they definitely set time apart and put all their feelings to the side and told me to go get it. So my family's definitely behind me, and that's the only way I can have it.
In regards to your parents, what's the worst thing you put them through?
Oh, getting locked up, going to jail and being in the newspaper and the news and whatnot of being a drug dealer. That's probably what I think is probably the worst that I've been able to put them through.
What's your message to the youth?
Don't give up on anything. If you see something, go get it. Don't ever take anybody's negative thoughts on you or your life or your future to impact you, because really they ain't shit. You're the one that's going to go get it, and if you go get it, can't nobody take it from you.
Let's talk about music a little bit. How'd you get into rap music?
I got into rap music probably like 95, 96. And it was just making fun of music. I would take rap and just make it funny. Make it sound like somebody got hurt or somebody got caught cheating or they lost their dog. It didn't matter what it was. I was just making fun of it. And friends and family were like, you got something, like you need to do something more than just make fun of it. You definitely have skills. So I started working and doing things that were part of my life when I was little or growing up, or something that I've dealt with now, and utilizing those things that happened to me or that I've lived through, whether it was good or bad. It's definitely been a lot better than the usual, I guess, crap that you hear from everybody. I mean, it doesn't have to be realistic anymore. I mean, to me, it has to be realistic, and that's pretty much where I got to go with it.
What age were you when you got into rap music?
I was, like 16, 17?
Any musical influences? Anybody that inspired you?
My cousin Ruben Lucero, for sure. He was a DJ, and he had everything that a kid wanted to play with as far as DJ equipment, speakers, amps, and any kind of musical track that you can think of. If he didn't have it, he would go buy it. If you thought of something or heard of something, he'd go get it. So he was definitely one of the biggest influences next to my mom. Because my mom, she had music in our house since we were born. You know what I mean? Like Motown or Spanish or rock or country, Patsy Cline to Janis Joplin to, you know, Little Richard to, you know, Mafia. And Mafia is a Spanish band. And all those genres in one house, I got to definitely appreciate different music, and it's all definitely influenced me.
How many years would you say you've been perfecting your craft for?
For about 8 years.
Do you remember your first rap or what you were rapping about back then?
Yeah. We made a song that's called Too Fly. And it was just basically about being the flyest motherfucker on the street. And then when we were kids, I mean, I was always after the girls. So, I mean, that whole song was basically telling the girl that I wanted to go out with them or let's do some, you know. It was funny.
When it comes to the music industry, what bothers you the most about it at this point? What's your biggest pet peeve with it?
That it has no substance. And I'm not talking about every part of it, but there's a good part that's coming out that you just doesn't have any kind of thought. To me, I grew up around mentalists, you know what I mean? More of the lyrical type, you know, Mos Def, you know, it's very lyrical. Jules Santana. But if you think about it, that type of rapper is not appreciated as much now because of the fact that it's more on it's a catchy hook and then blah, blah in between. That's probably my most disappointing part of the industry.
Who do you blame for that? Record labels and executives or listeners and consumers?
All the above. I think we all have a part in that whole situation to make it the way it is right now. I mean, if we didn't listen to it, it wouldn't be played. And if some record exec didn't push it, it wouldn't be listened to.
Can this be fixed? Do you see this being fixed? Is there a solution to this?
I think evolution. Some of the younger artists that are coming out might grow a little bit and tend to put more of their life into it versus the less substance type of music that they're putting out. I mean, it's all about growth. So I think with a little growth, they tend to see that they need to put a little bit more substance into it.
Top 3 things you need in the studio.
Good music, good weed, and some paper and pen.
What strain of weed?
Anything that ain't Reggie. I mean, I just can't stand Reggie. And if you guys don't know what Reggie is, that's just regular Mexican dirt weed. It's got to be medical grade. Something from Colorado or Cali, Oregon, something nice. Craziest
studio story, if you have one.
Oh, yeah. We're doing a real good night. I mean, we usually don't party too much, but that night we ended up drinking a little bit too much and somebody pulled out a bottle of Everclear. Well, a good friend of ours decides to tip it. Well, he tipped it and took about 4 good drinks and we didn't hear from him after that. The boy put the bottle down and hit the concrete and he didn't wake up until the next day and we left him there.
Good friends.
Oh, well, he needed it. He's a little bit too big for anybody to carry. There'd be at least 4 of us that have to carry that big boy.
Now imagine you come across a variety of beats. Have you received any beat that you passed on that became a bigger song for somebody else?
No, not yet. I don't think I've passed on. I really don't pass on too much. Anything that I do like or think that it sounds good, I usually grab it or just, if I already have it, just hold on to it. I don't like passing on things because of that fact. Because if you pass on something, somebody might get it and tear it up.
What's the realest song you ever wrote so far in your whole catalog of music?
Definitely Just Making My Money. Because it's an old school type of beat, and it speaks of the influences that my dad had on me growing up. Living the life that we lived in the way that we were poor, and the way he hustled and taught me the good way to work and the ins and outs of things that if the legal standards can't help you, you still know what to go do. That man definitely was an influence, so I had to put that into that song, and it definitely puts it out there. That whole song is like the realest shit.
Risk versus reward. What's the biggest risk you took for your music career so far?
Fucking with you, G. To me, everything's a risk, and if you sit idle and comfortable, you're not gonna do anything or go anywhere. So to me, I had to scare myself first and look at the situation of growing. I could take a step up and work with DJ Smallz and go ahead and go all in. Because why? Because if we go all in, we can get it all back plus. Well, if you're on that point of I can do this or not do it and just stay home and be comfortable, I would do this because of the fact that everything about it is a positive impact on my life and my family and my music. So why not do something that would better it?
Proudest accomplishment so far in your music career?
Getting my city to a point where they actually have hope. Because the mixtape that I'm doing, it's got so many different people from our city and our environment, our area, that it gives them just as much opportunity and ears and listeners that I have. And to me, to give back to my city is probably the best thing that I could do.
What's the biggest misconception of you?
Probably that I'm just too nice, I guess. I don't like being an asshole, so I tend to try to figure the best solution for the situation so it has a positive impact on everyone. But sometimes you just can't do it, so like the asshole part comes out.
Craziest rumor you heard about yourself?
That I was dying, but I wasn't dying.
Dying from what?
Nobody knew. Like they were like, you dying of cancer, or somebody said you were dying. And I was like, who the hell is telling you that I'm dying? Well, nobody. It was just that I'm dying. And I'm like, I ain't dying. I've been here for about, 5 years after that rumor.
Do you care what people think of you?
Nah, not even a bit.
What are your keys to success?
Work hard. Don't give a shit what other people think. And keep your family first.